さて、話を始める前に一つだけ頼みがある。
Hello and welcome back to 999. First off, if you're wondering how the week's gonna go, I think it's gonna be something like 3999 episodes, 2 rants episodes, or maybe 3999 3 rants, or 3999 2 rants in the Higurashi Theory video. It's one of those combinations, but there will be 3999 episodes. I think I'll do Tuesday. Yeah, we can just do 3 in a row. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Rants can be Sunday and Friday or Saturday. Whatever happens. But yeah, just an update. Higurashi will probably start next week. And it'll be back to the normal schedule. Also, just want to give a shout out to YouTube for taking down my last thumbnail for my last video again, because of sexual content, and of course I'm referring to Clover's dead body. But sadly, I guess they just thought the thighs were too much. I don't know, dude. YouTube's identification bot has been sniping my 999 thumbnails. Feels bad, man. I like semi-understand the Lotus ones, but it's just Clover being dead, yo. Let her rest in peace. But anyways, before we start, enough joking around. Because last episode, we found Clover dead. Junpei but she had like a note to open the safe. And then it revealed a lot of information. That Snake was a survivor from the first game 9 years ago. And there are 4 executives on the ship. Obviously, the CEO is Ace. Santa is the lead investor. I'm guessing Lotus is the researcher. And the last one, I guess, is still up in the water. I want to believe it's the 9th man, though. It kind of fits the best. Just the only other options, which I do believe it was here we go. We actually have this. Fat 3, it was played 9 years ago. The person with number 2 attended the game 9 years ago, Snake. CEO, this is Ace. Nagisa Nijisaki is chief of staff, that's probably Lotus. And this is Santa. And I'm guessing this is the 9th man. But then you're like, Aiden, if this note is like, oh, we're here to take revenge, then who is 0 if it's not Snake? Ace, 9th man, Lotus, and Santa? Well, who is left? Junpei, it's not Junpei, obviously. 7 and Clover died. It just doesn't really make sense. I mean, it could be Clover. Clover could have been 0, and then somebody killed her. Because I did say that the person killing people might not actually be 0. It just might be someone like greeding it up and escaping without using teamwork. Since they already killed the 9th man, probably. Because there's no reason for 0. I mean, I guess there is, because he wants revenge. I don't really know, though. I still feel like... So Santa's sister died 9 years ago. But he became... From what we know... And it's kind of weird. Apparently Santa, like... I guess maybe he just cashed out of majority shareholder late. But you still make money as majority shareholder, I assume, right? So, I don't know, because he apparently cashed out 6 years ago, so 3 years after the Nonary game. Probably maybe because the drug developed and then it shot up, then he just cashed out. I don't know. It's a tough situation. I don't really know. It kind of threw a wrench in things. I'm just gonna let it roll. See what Junpei thinks. He's been very deductive. I wonder. Apparently, he has a clue who's been killing people, or who knows who killed Snake and Clover. So let's just see where that leads. We are in novel mode. Good. Junpei stopped in front of door 3 and turned around.
セブン、ヤシロ、そこのレッドに手のひらを乗せてくれないか。
お？
Huh?
どうしてシャワー室に入るのなら向こうの数字の書かれてない扉の方から。
違うんだ。中に入るわけじゃないんだよ。
He's checking numbers on the
だ
bracelets.
から認証を済ませたらすぐに扉から離れてほしい。
Or is it like you can't go in if you already went through? My notepad. I don't know where it is. Well,
なんでだよ。
if it is that, I did kind of call it.
いいから黙って言う。
It might just be an identifier.
ニルスと四つ葉を殺した犯人。知りたくないのか。
Junpei's implication was clear, and Seven understood perfectly.
わかったよ。
I don't want to believe it's Seven, but it kind of made sense too. It's also weird that he has amnesia. He could be like the mastermind getting revenge for the kid since he was on the ship at that time.
一宮とヤシロは。
いいだろう。
わかったわ。
Quickly, they pressed their palms onto the red. Once they finished, they stepped away from the door, as Junpei had instructed. 3 asterisks shown from the red's display panel.
この装置は手のひらを乗せて反応する装置ではなく、
But it responds to the bracelet.
バングルが近づいたかで反応する装置だというのか。
I guess, since all the bracelets would be in the same place, generally.
直接手に触れなくて。
Junpei approached it and held his bracelet over the scanner. He made quite sure he didn't place his palm on it and instead only brought his bracelet near it. Okay, there you go. The 4th asterisk appeared. Just as Junpei had expected. It was possible to authenticate without placing one's palm on the red, so as long as the bracelet was brought near it. Oh, I guess Junpei thought that you needed actual touch to it. I never really thought that. So, one step ahead of you, buddy. Junpei pulled the lever down. Door 3 opened like a hungry mouth. 9 long seconds passed. It does Junpei's like looking if someone has the bracelets hidden somewhere. But obviously they wouldn't keep it too close or it would mess up the door or the red. And the door shut unfed. Junpei walked slowly back to the others who were waiting some distance from the door talking to one another. Santa and June had joined them as well. It looked as though they hadn't found a chance to break into the conversation yet. As Junpei approached, they turned to look at him, curiosity plain on their faces. Before long, the other 3 did as well. We know there's at least 2 of them, so it's a little spooked, honestly.
何がしたかったんだ。
さあ。
Clearly, they were all expecting some
ありが
answers.
とう。ご協力感謝するよ。
Clearly, they'd hoped for something more forthcoming. He continued.
時に一宮、一つ聞きたいことがあるんだが、いいかな。
なんだね。
俺が誰だか、わかるか。
Hmm?
何を突然。
いいから答えてくれ。俺は誰だ。
そんなの決まってるじゃないか。順平君だよ。
残念、外れだ。俺はサンタだよ。
なんだと？
Ace's voice was full of surprise, but it was also tinged with confusion and fear. Okay, so he's testing if he does have the disease. Everyone else looked nearly as surprised. Santa looked especially shocked to discover he was actually someone else. If he spoke, however, the trap would be exposed. Junpei quickly continued.
今俺が着てるこの服はな、順平に借りたものなんだよ。で、順平が着てるのが俺の服。つまり俺たちは服を交換したってわけだ。
そんなバカな、ありえない。
俺はサンタ
He's
じゃない。
cheesed.
当然じゃないか。
なんでだよ。どうしてサンタじゃないって思うんだ。
もしも君がサンタなら、さっきの4人では3の扉は開けないはずだ。
That is true.
1たす7たす8たす3イコール19。1と9を足して10。数字根は1になってしまう。にもかかわらず、我々4人の認証によって3の扉は開いた。なぜか。それは君のバングルナンバーが3などではなく
5だからか。
Only then, when it was too late, did Ace realize his mistake. He set his jaw and glared at Junpei.
その通り。俺のバングルナンバーは5だ。
As he spoke, Junpei lifted his wrist to show everyone the bright red 5 on his wrist.
悪いな一味や。釜をかけさせてもらったんだよ。言うまでもなく、俺はサンタなんかじゃない。順平だ。当然のことだ。バカバカしいぐらいに当たり前の事実。ところがそのバカバカしいぐらいに当たり前の事実があんたには分からなかった。
Yeah, I guess that made sense. Like, he resorted to the bracelet number when it's obvious that they just look different.
俺はあんたにこう聞いたよな。どうしてサンタじゃないって思うんだ。するとあんたはこう答えた。もしも君がサンタなら3の扉は開けないはずだってな。普通ならそんなことは言わない。
Yep, true.
俺がサンタじゃないことの根拠として、まず真っ先にバングルナンバーの件を挙げたりはしないんだ。
You're rubbing it in, Junpei.
こう答えるだろう。
We understand.
たった一言だけ。顔が違うってな。一宮、あんたは総合失認症を患ってる。
Junpei's voice was quiet and calm. He knew the truth, so did Ace. The others looked confused.
なんだそいつは。
さあな。
総合失認症っていうのは
He heard Lotus begin to explain it to them. Ace glanced at them, then turned back towards Junpei and sighed.
わかったよ。認めよ
Don't know how this ties into everything yet, though.
う。私は確かに総合失認症だ。人間の顔を識別することができない。だからなんだと言うんだね。君は人の障害を笑って楽しいのか。
勘違いしないでくれ。
I will say, Junpei, you do sound like super condescending when you go in this this mode. I don't really know what to call it. It's like when he tricked everyone to go into the 3-door for the submarine ending and picking the doors for the final like route thing. He does sound like super condescending.
笑うつもりなんかさらさらない。むしろ気の毒に思うぐらいだ。だが、俺の推測が正しければ、ニルスを殺した犯人は総合失認症である可能性が高いんだよ。
Why? Ace's face tightened. His eyes narrowed.
何が言いたい。
Junpei leaned casually against the iron piping of one of the beds. Yeah.
ズバリよ。一宮。俺はあんたが犯人なんじゃないかって、そう思ってるんだ。
I don't really understand why, because I'm like pretty sure Snake isn't dead, but I don't know if this is just a bait from Junpei. How do you connect it? Junpei was suddenly very aware of 5 pairs of eyes on him. He had their undivided attention now. The room had grown very, very quiet. Junpei took a deep breath.
バカバカしい。何を根拠にそんなことを。
根拠は3つある。
Okay, tell me them. I'm confused too.
まずは今から数時間前のことだ。この大病室にある3つの扉を前にして、あの時俺たちは議論を戦わせた。その場にいた7人全員では決して先に進むことはできない。そこで犠牲となる一人を決めるべきだとヤシロが言い出して。
Lotus looked away awkwardly. Junpei glanced at her and continued.
あの時一宮はこう言ったよな。どうしてそんなことを言い出したの？簡単なことだ。一宮はシャワー室に転がっている死体を俺たちに見られたくなかったんだ。
Okay.
一宮が一人でここに残れば。
That does make sense. Yes, he kind of locked door number 3 out. And that's why going through door number 3 is like super hard. Because I'm sure if someone else stayed and you had ace, you can probably make better combinations or combinations that include door number 3.
残った6人は必ず7か8の扉。
But like
い
this
ずれか
is
に入らざるを得なくなる。
but this is like not working with like my idea, because I think if Snape's alive and he disguised the body, then the killer actually wants you to see the body. Do you think that Snake is dead? Unless Snake himself faked the body? I don't know. It's weird.
全員で先に進むとしたら3の扉。しゃそのことを一宮。だから自分がここに残るなんてことを。
おいおいよしてくれ。
That is...
君が私の勇敢な行為に対して嫉妬したくなる気持ちも
Actually, I guess the fact that he took the drug kind of backs it up. I was gonna say that's like just speculative, but like he did have a drug handy to make sure he became the sacrifice, so it actually does hold a bit more weight, I think.
だからといって私の美談までも貶めることはないだろう。私はただ自己犠牲の精神を持って君たちの命を救おうとしたまでだ。
He also doesn't sound that worried.
自己犠牲の戦士。
Junpei stared off into the darkness at something very interesting and lazily began to dig a persistent bit of wax out of his ear.
あんたは知ってたんじゃないのか？どの扉を通っても最終的にはこの大病室に戻ってくることになるって。
何を言ってる？知ってるわけがないだろう。
Well, 7 knew. And Junpei kind of assumes.
そうかな。
It's not that bad to get a pattern. You know, I'm not defending Ace because I think he's innocent. I just like to put out some options for him.
そうとも。
Pleading was not something they'd heard from Ace before. Junpei pulled the piece of wax from his ears, glanced at it, and flipped it off to the darkness. Why are you acting so cool, Junpei? Leaning on an iron pipe and flicking ear wax. My dude is in full smug mode, I swear.
まあいいだろう。根拠はあと2つある。俺があんたを殺人犯だと考えている根拠だ。その2つ目はさっきも言った通り、あんたが総合失認症を患ってるからだ。
I don't know why this is.
人の顔を識別できないような奴は悪人に決まっているか？それは偏見というものだよ、純平君。
違う。俺はそんなくだらない理由で人を疑ったりはしない。
それじゃなぜ？
説明の前に一つ重要な事実を伝えておこう。シャワー室に転がってる爆死体な。あれニルスじゃないから。
なんだと？
Ace's face went pale. The others looked confused as well. If the body wasn't
四つ
Snake's,
葉から聞いたんだ。 ニルスの左腕は人工的に作られたものらしい。
But Junpei said that the ninth man's corpse is there where he died, so I'm not sure. Is that actually just a dummy corpse from some random?
ところがシャワー室の爆死体、仮に SO とでもしておこうか。
It actually is. I just didn't think of it being a dummy corpse, since it being a ninth man's corpse makes it a lot more cleaner. But I guess if someone did do all this planning and using this ship as a super revenge game, then having a spare corpse to do that would be good. I mean, reasonable. But again, the freaking watch was broken. Who would it be then?
その SO の左腕は間違いなく生身の人間のそれだった。故に SO はニルスではない。
そんなバカな。
He killed Zero by accident. Ace had started muttering deliriously to himself, shaking his head back and forth. Junpei was long past
と
caring.
ころで今仮に犯人が総合失認症ではなかったと仮定してみよう。その場合、犯人は SO はニルスではないということにすぐに気づいたはず。着ている服はニルスのものと同じでも顔が違うからな。一発でわかるだろう。ところがどういうわけか犯人はそいつを殺してしまった。
But then you have to ask, was I'm seeing holes, Junpei. I'm sorry, I'm a theorist, but I'll let you continue. Like, how much does that matter? Like, what if the motive wasn't to kill Snake?
どうして
And who the heck is this random guy?
どうしていきなり殺害する必要がある。一方、犯人が総合失認症だとすれば説明がつく。そいつは SO ニルスだと誤認し殺害に及んだ。
待て、待ちたまえ。100歩譲って私がその SO とやらをニルスだと勘違いしたとしよう。だがもしも仮にそうだったとしても私には動機がない。
Okay.
なんで私がニルスを殺さなければならないんだ。
Let's solidify this theory, Junpei.
理由は2つある。一つはニルスがあんたの過去を知っていたからだ。そのことをみんなにばらされてしまうのはまずい。いろいろと面倒なことになる。そこで口封じのためにあんたはニルスを始末することにした。二つ目、さらにニルスはあんたに対しておそらく恨みを持っていたはず。あんたはもちろんそのことを知っていた。それはあんたにとっては脅威以外の何者でもなかっただろう。いつ襲いかかってこられるかもわからない。そう思うと気が気じゃなかった。あんたは戦々恐々としていた。だから一刻も早くその脅威を払拭すべく。
Does make sense, kinda.
なあ、ちょっと待ってくれ。
For the first time since the beginning of Junpei's explanation, someone beside Ace spoke.
一宮の過去って一体何があったんだ。どうしてニルスは一宮に対して恨みを。
これだよ。
He handed Santa a small piece of
なんだ
paper.
この紙切れは。
Santa squinted at the paper and began to
ロ
read.
ナリーゲームは今から9年前にも行われたことがある。
I wonder if Junpei knows about Santa and Lotus. He might know about Lotus, but he shouldn't know about Santa. In this route, anyways.
バングルナンバー2番のものは当時のゲームにも参加している。それを画策したのはクレイドル製薬 CEO 本郷源太郎。なんだよこれ。
Slowly, Santa looked up from the paper. His eyes met Junpei's.
ゼロからのメッセージだよ。一等船室の金庫の中に入ってたんだ。
Then suddenly,
いい加減にしたまえ。
ooh, angry Ace. Ace's face was red and shaking, and his voice was full of fury tinged with desperation.
こんなものはでっち上げに決まってるだろう。誰かが私を陥れようとしてるんだ。
私をって。
Junpei's eyes narrowed and the trap began to close. I mean, we already knew he was CEO though. I guess he wants him to admit it himself that he's the CEO. Ace inhaled sharply. His eyes flicked off of Junpei's to something, anything
今
else.
の発言によってあんたは自分がクレイドル製薬の CEO 本郷
Hondo.
であると認めたことになる。間違いないな。
It was as though a switch had been flipped. The color drained from Ace's face, and as he realized what he'd done, his eyes went wide.
ああ、そうとも認めよう。私は確かにクレイドル製薬の CEO 本郷健太郎だ。だからなんだと言うんだね。私は9年前に行われたノナリーゲームなんてものは全く知らない。
See, I do believe it. Obviously, it does point for Kratos Pharmaceuticals to be involved with it. And again, he also found his drug that his company created conveniently in this ship for him to knock himself out, which I think is probably like the biggest evidence against him. Like, I don't know how much I like Junpei's theory about his because of his illness, because I don't understand what Guy X is doing here. Seems like a very weird thing, but I think the point of his miracle drug his company created and him finding it here and taking it to knock himself out is actually like pretty good evidence against him, in my opinion.
その紙切れに書いてあることは全部デタラメだ。誰かが私を罠にはめるためにそんなものを。というか、そもそも。
Ace stammered as he tried desperately to work himself to a more tenable
純
position.
平君、君はさっきから私が単独犯であるかのように主張し続けているが、ここで今一度よくよく考えてもらいたい。一体どうすれば私はたった一人でニールスを
I know how.
殺すことができるのかな。
It's not looking good, Ace. This is like the easiest answer. Snake presses the button for door 3. You use the ninth man's and your own bracelet to open door 3. But like, is it that easy? Because I think in the knife ending, it confirms like 2 people were killing people, right?
ニルスじゃない。SO だ。
そんなものはどっちでも構わん。
And why did Gaietz have Snake's number 2 bracelet to open door number 3?
とにかく犯人はそいつを3の扉の奥へとぶち込んだんだろ
ああ、おそらくな。
う。だったら私一人だけでは犯行は不可能だ。その S 音やらと私だけでは3の扉は開けないんだからな。
いや、開けるんだな。
Surprised face. All around.
なんだと？
Ace's face was tight and his teeth were clenched. Junpei fixed him with a level stare. The trap was about to close.
一宮、実はな、お前が意識を失っている間に抜き取らせてもらったものがあるんだよ。ほら、この大病室で麻酔薬を注射して眠りに落ちたことがあっただろう。あの時のことだ。あの時、俺はお前の懐から。
Junpei put his hand into his pocket.
まさか。
Ooh, baited. Ace's right hand moved. Junpei smiled.
かかったな、一味。その右手の動きが何よりの証拠だ。当ててやろうか。コートの内ポケットに何が入ってる
The bracelet. Ninth man's bracelet, probably.
9番のバングルだ。
But what was the broken bracelet?
そうだ。
Then maybe it was a different number? Was it 0? Maybe. I don't know, dude. That's what's bothering me. The Gaiet stuff. It seems so weird.
一味 SO 9番のバングル。これら3社で認証を行えば3の扉を開くことができる。
But Gaiets would have had 2. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
つまり SO の殺害は一味やあんた一人だけでも十分に可能ってことだよ。その懐に収められた9番のバングルさえあればな。
Ace lowered his hand from where it stopped halfway to his pocket. He looked down at the floor, his face hidden from Junpei. All he could see was the corner of Ace's mouth twitching like a dying fish.
白を切るならそれでもいい。バングルなんて持っていない。強弁したければそうすればいいさ。だがそのコートだけは脱いでもらおう。それが嫌なら力ずくでも脱がせるまでだ。なあ、セブン。
おい、任せろ。
Seven cracked his knuckles with a sound like gunfire. Evil laugh time. Maybe. Ha ha ha. Guess it was right. Ace roared with laughter. He threw his arms wide and his head back and laughed, filling the room with a sound that scarcely belonged there. Then it stopped. His arms came down and his head dropped to look straight up ahead at Junpei. That face. His face was flat and cold, devoid of any emotion.
お見事だよ、純平君。確かに君の言った通り、私は今、9番の番
I feel like there's more though. It's weird. There's definitely he has a partner. I'm like so sure of it.
入手したのは、抜き取られたレッドの基盤を全員で捜索していた時だ。あの時、担当していた個室からで、B デッキの一等船室へと私は向かったんだ。
His voice showed no emotion, no sense of remorse or interest. It was almost bored, as though he were reciting an especially dull corporate letter.
目的はもちろん9番のバングルを回収することにあった。このノナリーゲームにおいて9はオールマイティーな存在。どんな数字に9を足しても最初の数字項が変わらない。
1 plus 9 is 10. 10 plus 0 equals 1. 2 plus 9 is 11. 1 plus 1 equals 2.
つまり
Okay.
とても使い勝手のいい数字ということだ。
Yes.
その番号が割り振られたバングルを持っているだけで、このゲームをかなり有利に展開することができる。だから私はそれを手に入れるために一等船室へ向かったんだ。そして私は9番のバングルの回収に成功した。
Okay.
そこで思いがけぬ収穫があってね。そう、あの男が所持していたナイフ。
Bro!
手に入れることができたんだよ。
Dude, I low-key forgot that the ninth man had a knife and put it up to Clover's neck. Dude, I totally forgot about that. I was like, where did they get that knife from when they're stabbing people? Damn, dude. I totally forgot about it. It's kind of embarrassing. We haven't seen that scene in like forever, but still.
私はそれらを回収し、速やかに一等船室を後にした。そして階段を降りて担当の個室。
So, it does seem like Ace is the one stabbing people.
戻りかけた時、私はニルスの、
Ah.
いや、実際には別人らしいが、その男の後ろ
Guy X. Random guy in Snape's clothes, apparently.
どうやら大病室の方へと向かっているらしいと気づいた私は、その男の後を追った。
How does that make sense? I guess we'll learn eventually.
ニルスの服を着たその男は3の扉の前に佇んでいた。私は彼の元へ歩み寄り、そのニルスとね、男は振り返った。
Who the fuck is that? What?
ほうけたように開かれた口からはいかなる言葉もこぼれては来なかった。
Why? What am I looking at?
意識が朦朧としているらしい。まるで無遊病患者のようだった。
I am so confused.
何か睡眠薬のようなものでも飲んだのだろうか。
Feels like it might be pointing to Snape being the mastermind if he read this person and baited him for Ace, maybe?
あの程度の疑問は浮かんだが、すぐに消えてしまった。その男のことを完全にニルスだと思い込んでしまっていた私はこう考えた。こいつは9年前のノナリーゲームのプレイヤーだ。もちろん顔なんて覚えてはいないが、目が見えないという特徴を考えれば、だとするとこいつは私のことを恨んでいるに違いない。にもかかわらず、どうしてこいつは今まで私に何も言ってこなかったのだろう。接触を試みるような素振りさえ見せていない。目が見えないから私のことに気づいていないのだろうか。あるいはこいつはゼロの仲間か何かで私のことをかばかろうとしているのだろうか。
Confirmed not Zero, but I think that was clear. So it is Ace like escaping and not being Zero. That's what I thought. Like at first you think that Zero's the one doing all the killing and all the offhand stuff, but eventually it doesn't really make sense to like host this game and then just ruin it prematurely. So this does make sense.
いずれにせよ、私の過去を知っている人間がいるのは脅威だ。こいつが何か仕掛けてくる前に処分しておいた方が無難だろう。私はすぐに行動を開始することにした。9番の番号をレッドにかざし、続けて自分も認証を済ませてから最後に男の腕を掴んで少々強引にスキャナーパネルへ。そして開け放たれた3の扉の奥へと
See a
男を
random
踏
guy.
み込んだのだ。その9秒後、扉は自動的に閉鎖。さらに81秒が経過し、
The man inside the door passed away.
その後、私は何食わぬ顔をして担当の個室へと引き返した。そして午前1時の時報を耳にして、この大病室に戻ってきたというわけだ。
Makes you wonder why didn't Ace want to just leave with Junpei and Santa? Probably because V wouldn't agree and he predicted that, I guess. Ace's eyes were cold and his cheeks were hollowed and pallid. When he spoke, only his lips and tongue moved. The rest of his face was eerily still. Junpei glared at Ace. He took a deep breath and thought about the next question he had to ask. He didn't want to. He knew what the answer would be. He just didn't want to hear it. Junpei swallowed, then spoke.
四つ葉を殺したのも
その通り。
どうして、なぜ殺した？
あいつはニルスの妹だ。ニルスから何か聞いてるかもしれない、そう思ったんだよ。それにあのガキは1の扉に入ってしまった。ということは、もしかしたらあれと接触してしまったかもしれない。あれはあれさ。なんなら1の扉に入って見てきたらどうかね。おそらくどこかに隠されているはずだ。
Seven and Lotus interrupted.
俺とヤシロだって1の扉には入ったぜ。
ええ。だけど特に怪しいものなんてなかったわ。
だろうな。大階段の前で報告を聞いた時からそうだろうと思っていたよ。君たちはあれを見つけられなかったんだ、多分。だが四つ葉は違うかもしれん。さっきも言った通り、四つ葉はあれと接触した可能性があった。だから私は死に物狂いで彼女を探したんだ。やがてたどり着いた場所は一等船室。私は彼女のもとへ近づいていき、穏やかな声色で尋ねた。君はあれに会ったのかね。
あれって何？
とぼけるんじゃない。船長室で あったんだろ
さあ、何のこと？
わかった。ところで四つ葉、こんなところで何をしてる？
何って別に。
靴の先に血がついてるな。つい最近ついたもののように見えるな。9番の男の死体でも見に行ったのかな。なるほど。答えないということはどうやら四つ葉、君は気づいてしまったようだね。あの男のバングルがなくなっていることに。
Clover ran. She made for the exit, but Ace stood in her way.
逃がして！
He caught her by the collar as she passed and threw her to the floor hard.
出してしろ！
She leapt back and darted past him into the hallway. Ace followed at a run.
待て、小娘！
He was faster. Rip. Don't show it, YouTube. It's too sexual.
俺が
Joking.
四つ葉殺害の経緯だ。
His face hadn't changed. If he felt guilt or remorse or anything one might feel after taking the life of another human being, it didn't show. Seven's whole body trembled with rage, and his voice rumbled with hate. Santa's eyes were bloodthirsty, and Lotus and June's face were distorted by anger and hatred. Ace lifted them and smiled. It was a cold, cruel thing, with no humor in it. He shook his head and sighed.
とにかく私の負けだ。乾杯だよ。だが純平君、勘違いしないでくれたまえ。私は君に負けたわけではないぞ。私が敗北を喫した相手とはゼロだ。今思えば、どうしてこんなわかりやすい罠にはまってしまったのかと。自分でも呆れるほどだよ。そう。これは罠だったんだ。私はまんまとゼロの術中にはまり、
Yeah,
見事に踊らされてしまったんだ。
I think so too, to be honest.
シャワー室で殺された男。エースオトやらが何者なのかはわからない。だが、とにかくあの男にはニルスの服が着せられていた。さらに抵抗を封じるためか、睡眠薬らしきものまで投与されていて、おまけにレッドには抜き取られたはずの基盤が突き刺さっていた。どう考えてもゼロが全てを仕組んだとしか思えない。私にはあの男を殺させるよう、ゼロがお膳立てを整えたんだ。つまりゼロには全てお見通しだったというわけさ。私がいずれ9番のバングルを回収するであろうことも、ニルスに対して殺意を抱くであろうことも、全部な。
Suddenly, Junpei remembered the paper he found in the safe. He remembered the last words Zero had written on it. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved, I now state the truth. Zero. And he remembered other words, words he'd heard from Clover.
多分ゼロはこの中に。
Yep. Who would it be? I'm low-key thinking it's either Santa or June. I know that sounds weird, but Santa makes the most sense despite him being one of the four, but it's also kind of a good alibi. And June's just a freaking weirdo, because I don't just... Out of the people not included in the list, it could be Clover and she just prematurely died, but that seems weird to me. It doesn't feel right. 7 doesn't feel right. It's obviously not Junpei, so it can only be June out of those people. Or it could be Snake. Snake's a good pick too, obviously. So Snake, June, and Santa are my 0 pits. I guess I can't really narrow that down anymore because I don't know, whatever. Yeah, those 3 are most sus for me for actually being 0. One by one, Junpei looked at the 5 people standing in front of him. Ace, Santa, June, 7, Lotus. I mean, I guess 7's not bad. Not a bad pick for 0, to be honest.
待て、もう一人いる。ニルス、シャワー室で爆死したのは彼ではなかった。
But I think Snake might have been, because I think Snake's probably in that coffin, right? So if he was forced to, he could have done that willingly, which seems weird, or he could have been forced to. I don't know. I don't know.
生きている可能性が高いってことなら、ニルスはゼロだということだって。もしかしてニルスは自分が死んだかのように見せかけるために、ニルスは今どこにいるんだ。どこかで俺たちの様子を伺い、朝は笑っているかもしれない。耳でどこをさ、あるいは
Bam!
さてと、これで私の告白は終わりだ。そろそろ移動しないかね。
Down to business. He sounded as if he just finished doing nothing more exciting than describing the weather. For Santa, it was the last straw.
何を寝ぼけたこと言ってんだ。てめえなんざ置き去りにしていくに決まってんだろうが。
なぜ私が四つ葉を殺したからか。バカバカしい。あんなクソガキ一匹殺したぐらいで何をそう思う必要がある。
She was friendly and she had puffy hair. No
た
bully.
だの他人じゃないか。ほんの数時間前に会ったばかりの。そうだろ。
It's hilarious because I'm guessing Ace can't even identify Lotus or Santa. Which is why I thought Santa was so sus, asking Ace about him being the CEO, which might have just been a fate story, I guess. But they're sus. I'm like so sure it's them for the remaining people on the list, but
この野郎
Seven roared and lifted a fist that would likely have shattered Ace's jaw, but someone else was faster. Lotus. It was Lotus. She stepped towards Ace, raised a fist of her own, and drove it straight into his
い
nose.
きなりグーとは。はあ、いい度胸してるな。だが嫌いじゃないぜ、お前みたいな気の強い女は。
Unfazed. He sniffed and wiped a small trickle of blood from his nose with a raised eyebrow.
だったらもう一発お見舞いしてあげましょうか。
いや、その前にもしかしたら私の方からも一発ぶち込ませてもらうことになるかもしれん。
Run.
え
Lotus scarcely had time to blink. Ace snaked his arms around her and pulled Lotus's back up against him. In the same motion, he reached into his coat pocket. What? The gun? How the heck did he get the gun? Yo, I was thinking about that. I thought he was gonna pull the knife. Huh? How? Did he just go and get it? While everyone was searching? I guess he did. Huh. It was a gun. The revolver. Almost lazily, he tilted it to point at Lotus's head. YouTube, I'm gonna use this CG probably. Please don't trim it.
いいか
Maybe.
指先一つでも動かしてみろ。私は迷わず引き金を引く。もうすでに二人も、いや、三人も殺してるんだ。ためらうことなど何もない。
Who's the third person?
3人
Oh, the ninth
どうい
man.
うことですか
Yeah, he killed the ninth guy.
いいだろう。この際だから教えてやろう。実は9番の男を殺したのも。
Made sense, to be honest. Again, it doesn't make sense for Zero to kill one of the participants of the game so early.
正確に言うと爆死するように仕向けただけだな。最初に大階段の付近を探索していた時、あの男はこっそりと私のそばに近づいてきて自らの名前を名乗ったんだ。その名前には聞き覚えがあった。そのことに気づいた私は奴の耳元に向かってこう囁いた。どうやらデッドの設定が変えられているらしい。一人で認証を行ってもバングルの起爆タイマーは停止できるようだ。後で落ち合おう。お前は先に5の扉の向こうを調べておいてくれ。とね。そして
それじゃあ皆さんお達者で、僕は一足お先に失礼させてもらうことにするよ。なんで止まらないんだ。開けてくれ、開けてくれ、頼む、助けてくれ、ここから出してくれ、出してくれ。もうダメだ、時間がない。聞いてくれ、僕は騙されたんだ。あいつに、あいつに、あいつに、あいつに。
Splat. More of a boom.
あの男を始末した理由は4つある。ま
One,
ずこのノナリーゲームにおいて Q がオールマイティーな存在になることはさっきも言った通り。
it sounded like you can manipulate him pretty well without killing him.
そんな都合のいい存在を生かしておいてはいずれ脅威にもなりかねない。
But I guess being safe.
奴を序盤の段階で排除しておくことにしたのだ。そ
Two.
して同じくさっきも言った通り、それが手に入ればこのゲームを有利に展開することができるからだ。そのためには奴に死んでもらわなければならなかった。これが2つ目の理由になる。さ
Three.
らに番号云々を抜きにしても、おとちに
Since he knew who you
存
were.
在は邪魔者以外の何者でもなかった。
Mm-hmm.
あの男は私の過去を、9年前の出来事を知っているからだ。そのことを他の者たちに告げられる前に早めに始末しておく必要があった。
Four.
最後の動機はテストのためだ。このノナリーゲームが本気なのか単なる悪ふざけなのか、
Mm-hmm.
私はそれを確かめたいと思った。そこで奴がルール違反を犯すように仕向け、その結果を見ることにしたのだ。
Junpei glared at him.
3番目の動機だけ一体9年前に何があったって言うんだ。
だから言っただろう。ノナリーゲームが行われたんだよ。私が企画して行わせたんだ。
Okay.
なぜ？目的は何だ？
さあな、そこまで教えてやる義務はない。
Ace smirked. He was trying to provoke them, and it was working. Although Ace had paid very little attention to Lotus after catching her, the gun had never wavered from her temple. She looked quite pale, and when she spoke, her voice shook.
ねえ、何なのよこの銃は。一体いつの間にこんな。
サンタ教えてやってくれ。
Santa ground his teeth and glared at Ace.
6の扉の先、あの貨物室の棺の中にあった銃だな。俺たちが目を離してる隙にこっそりと抜き取ったんだろう。
Sleight of hand.
その通り迂闊だったな。置いていくなんて言い出さなければよかったもの。
Ace laughed, a short, derisive snort, and gave Junpei a sickeningly pitying look.
さて、時間がない。そろそろ私は失礼させてもらうことに。
How are we looking at the flow? We're at 2.
どこに行くつもり？
Guess there is no final escape.
決まってるだろう。わからないのかい。私は9番のバングルを持っている。そして今、
There you go.
礼拝堂みたいな場所に9の扉があったとかなんとかって言ってたな。
There's 2 doors, to be precise.
そこに向かうつもりか。
おお、よく知ってるな。
さっき四つ葉を捜索してる時に聞いたんだよ。サンタから。
なるほどな。まあ、とにかくそういうわけだから、君たちとはここでお別れだ。あった、さっき言ったこと忘れるなよ。少しでも動けば、私は迷わず引き金を引く。
As he spoke, Ace began backing towards the door. Practically Dre didn't notice behind him.
このままじゃ逃げられるぞ。
だが、奴は本気だ。
Junpei, Santa, June, and Seven stood frozen. Ace had the face of a man gone mad. They had no doubt he would pull the trigger. Ace had reached the exit.
さあ、ヤシロ、私に代わって扉を開けてもらおうか。
He forced Lotus to open it, then turned and addressed them once
そ
more.
れじゃあな。
Then he stepped through the door. It fell shut.